Hello folks, welcome back to another season of Tall Tale or Not. Can you believe it? We're already on to Season 2. And I find it kind of coincidental that the last episode of Season 1 was actually on Union Pacific steam locomotives. And the first episode of Season 2 is actually going to be on Union Pacific diesel locomotives. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright folks, so the first story of the year actually comes from Mr. Darren Hudson. Shout out to Darren Hudson, by the way. He said in late 1979 that Union Pacific was looking for a new diesel locomotive to replace their details with. GE was making a U-50 and EMD was making the DD-35A and B units along with a DD-A-40X, and Alco was making the C-855. But all three had plans to go bigger with these builds, and when I mean bigger, I mean way bigger. I'll start with GE and their loco they rolled out was called the U-70 with 7,200 horsepower riding on a B plus B times B plus B wheel arrangement, while EMD built the DD-60AX with 7,500 horsepower riding on a DD plus DD wheel arrangement. However, Alco decided not to do their design since sales were dropping and they closed their shops in the 60s. Ultimately, Union Pacific decided to go with both units, seeing they liked both, and placed orders for 80 U-70s, with 30 being A units and the other 40 being B units. And they ordered 102 DD-60AXs, with 50 being A units and 52 being B units, and they served on coal trains, unitank trains, manifest trains, etc., etc. They would serve for 20 years, but sadly with no survivors. They served from February 28, 1971 to March 5, 1992. The tractive effort for the U-70 be at 208,000 pounds starting and 195,000 continuous, and the tractive effort for the DD-60AX would be 274,000 pounds starting and 250,000 pounds continuous. So these are perfect locomotives for large freight trains. Now, I'm going to go with this as a tall tale because around the 70s we started kind of scaling back on specific locomotives, because here's the thing about specialty built locomotives for railroads: the parts cost more because they're only selling parts for your specific locomotives. Hence why the more modern EMD and General Electric locomotives are a little more popular now, because it's all standard parts, everything's kind of interchangeable, they can make things work. It's also kind of why steam engines faded away, was simply because parts were all different from one railroad to the next, and it cost a lot of money to custom make parts just for your railroad. So parts are cheaper when you're selling a lot of them to every single railroad. So that's why I think it's a tall tale, but let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, was last episode a tall tale or not? The answer is yes. It was a tall tale. Two of the reasons why it just wouldn't work is, for one, Union Pacific would, when they restore a steam locomotive, they try to restore it to as close to its original status of a certain era. And modifying it like that wouldn't really work, for one. For two, you'd be kind of screwing with things, and yeah. So, and then the second reason why that wouldn't work is because coal can set the other things on fire. For instance, your steam engines draft the fire, and they tend to suck out small pieces of coal and embers out and throw them out the stack. Well, when that happens, they're still burning. Now, yes, steam locomotives do have spark arresters. There are many different types of, hats that go on, along with cyclone spark arresters, which I believe the big boys would have been fitted with was a cyclone, because there's nothing on top, so it'd probably be inside the smoke box, which would be a cyclone spark arrestor. But even still, some embers still make it out, and they can catch things on fire. And if something burns, even if it wasn't the engine, they still will throw it to the steam engine, because it was the one thing that happened during that day that doesn't normally happen. So say, a forest fire happens, it might not have been the steam engine, but if the steam engine was in the area, they could still be at fault. Anyway, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. As always, huge shout out to Mr. Darren Hudson for another wonderful story. And if any of y'all are confused on the rules to the series, because it's kind of like a game that we play here on the channel, so if any of y'all are confused, there will be a video linked in the description down below with all the instructions to the series, and hopefully that helps. But if it doesn't help you, let me know down in the comments, because I will be happy to remake that video. I'm not sure how good I am at giving instructions on YouTube, so if they're good enough, let me know and I'll redo it. But as always, folks, please like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment in the comment section down below, leave your Telltale or Not stories in the comments as well, and as always, folks, see you on the rails.